we've got a long one coming here in terms of videos. So this is a continuation of the zero product property, and we're going to use it to solve quadratics. All right. So previously we had the problem x squared minus 5x equals 6. And again, I explained the rationale as to why we set it equal to 0. So I'm going to bring the 6 over. Subtract 6, subtract 6. So I have x squared minus 5x minus 6 equals 0. Real quick comment. Anytime you have a power at this spot that is higher than 2, it's 2 or higher, you want to set it equal to 0, okay? Now, x squared minus 5x minus 6 is 3 terms, and we learned that when we have 3 terms, we use the AC method, and that will factor to x minus 6, x plus 1 equals 0. Now, the zero product property says that if you have two things that multiply to 0, so if a times b is equal to 0, then either a equals 0 or b equals 0 or both. So we take each of the factors, the x minus 6 and the x plus 1, we set it equal to 0 and we solve. So we get x equals 6, we get x equals negative 1. Now, real quick, if you are on your graphing calculator, find the y equals key, it's top left, and then type in x squared minus 5x minus 6. Now, the x key is xt theta n, and it is right to the right of the arrow, or to the second key. So you'd see the second key, and then you'll see the xt theta n key. X raised to the second power, you hit the caret key, so you'll type x caret second power, then minus 5x minus 6. To get it to graph, you're going to hit zoom 6, which is the standard window. You're going to see something that looks like this. Hit the second key, the trace key, and find 0. And what you're doing is finding where the graph crosses the x-axis, or the zeros. So you'll move the cursor right to here, to the left side. It doesn't have to be perfect at that spot. It can be up or down, but it just has to be the left side of where the graph crosses the x-axis. You're going to hit enter, and then it's going to put this little like triangular shape up, and then move your cursor to the other side of where it crosses the x-axis here. So you're down below, hit enter again, and you're going to see this little other triangle looking deal. Looks like two eyes, and what it's saying is where does it cross the x-axis in between those two spots? Hit enter a third time, and you're going to get x equals negative 1 down at the bottom. It'll say y equals 0 and x equals negative 1. Now, there are two other ways to do this. We can do a thing called completing the square, or we can do a thing called the quadratic. I'm going to have us do the quadratic on this video, and then we'll tackle completing the square in another one. Before we do that, let's get the formula. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Our equation, after we set it equal to 0, is x squared minus 5x minus b. We have the a is the coefficient of the x squared, it's 1. B is the coefficient of the x, that's negative 5, and c is the plane, that's minus 6. And aside, there's this thing called the discriminant, and it tells you, does the graph cross the x-axis twice? Does it just come down and touch it once, or does it hover above? So, if b squared minus 4ac, that's the discriminant, is greater than 0, if it's positive, you're going to get two reals. It's going to look like this. Okay, if it's equal to 0, you get one real. So it's just going to come down and touch and then go back up, or it's going to come up and touch and go back down. If it's less than 0, you've got two complex. That's when the graph looks like it's hovering. It sits up above and doesn't touch, or it sits down below and doesn't touch. Okay. Now, we're going to plug in our 1, our negative 5, and our 6. So, first of all, it says, take the opposite of b. Well, b is negative 5. So into this formula, I'll write a 5, because the opposite of negative 5 is positive 5. Now, you're going to do b squared, which is negative 5 in parentheses squared minus 4 in parentheses 1 in parentheses negative 6. And then this is all over 2 times 1. Now, this is our discriminant. It is negative 5, that quantity squared. Okay, you must put the parentheses on there in order for it to operate right when you're working with your calculator. So negative 5 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 6. So you're going to get this expression done. We have 5 plus or minus, and we're going to deal with this bit. So we have 25 plus 24 over 2. So that is 5 plus or minus the square root of 49 over 2. Now you'll notice this is all over. This denominator belongs to both pieces. I have students at times that will just put the denominator bar here over and they forget the 2 belongs to both. Don't do that. So square root of 49 is 7, so I have 5 plus or minus 7 over 2. That yields 2 results. 5 plus 7 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. And 5 minus 7 is negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. We get the same results as we did up here. Okay, I'll do this completing the square on another video.